Hello and welcome to Violent Money TV. My name is Kyle Diamond. My guest for this episode is Wales's own Ben Ellis, who will be fighting in the PFL for the first time this Saturday, August the 13th at the Motorpoint Arena as part of PFL 8. Of course, you have the semi-final matchups on that card, which should be absolutely incredible, but then there is a separate card after that for some of the European guys that the PFL have signed, some qualifiers and things like that related to the European series, but also the regular PFL season as well. Ben, you might be familiar with for his days in Cage Warriors. All of his pro fights have been in Cage Warriors as a record of 4-1, and all of his fights in Cage Warriors have been absolutely incredible. Some really tough matchups in there with some top other prospects. He will be taking on another really good fighter, Ireland's Nathan Kelly, who has a record of 5-2. That goes down Saturday, August 13th at the Motorpoint Arena in Cardiff. Without further ado, Mr. Ben Ellis. Obviously, we're only like just over a week away now, mate. So how are you feeling about the fight? How's the preparations gone? All of that standard stuff.
Yeah, no, it's all good, thank you, mate. It's been now 12-1 overall, so this will be the 14th fight getting ready for. Before that, I had a lot of boxing fights too, so yeah, getting ready for a fight is just something I'm used to now. So yeah, no, just looking forward to it really.
When did PFL kind of become an option for you? When did that start to take shape? Because the way that it seems is it was not late notice, but it came out of the blue for quite a few people.
Yeah, so I was contracted to Cage Warriors. When that contract came to an end, to the point where I was allowed to shop around, my team just sent a few inquiries around just to see who was going to offer what. I didn't want to just re-sign without asking the question, because you know what it's like. You sign a contract and you don't think too much of it, but then before you know it, you're tied into 18 months, 2 years, whatever it may be, and then you're a bit stuck. So I didn't want to just sign up without giving it the due attention. So yeah, we sent a few messages around, and then PFL came back, and yeah, to be honest, I would have been off my head not to take them up on it. So that's all there was to it, really.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed when I first saw that you were announced for it, I didn't realize at the time that your Cage Warriors contract was out. So obviously, because all your pro fights were in Cage Warriors, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so it seemed like a bit out of left field. I just didn't expect it. But then I mean, it couldn't have worked out any better with obviously what they've announced with trying to expand into Europe more, and then also the very first PFL card over here being in Cardiff. It seems like it all just worked its way perfectly into place for you, mate.
Yeah, exactly that. The timing was just pretty much flawless, and even like prior to talking to PFL, I was talking to Cage Warriors and things. So I had a really good idea that I was going to be fighting in August. I just didn't know who for. So in terms of preparation, I've been in camp I say in camp, I've been training hard for 8 weeks, but then I say training hard, I've been dieting for 8 weeks, but I've been training hard for probably 11, 12. So yeah, there's no excuses in terms of preparation. I'm fit.
Obviously, with your Cage Warriors contract running out and kind of, taking a minute before you re-sign with them to have a look what else was out there, which, is obviously there's so much talk at the moment in MMA about fighter pay and knowing your worth and stuff like that. So fair play to you for doing that, because Cage Warriors seemed like a really great home for you. So fair play for actually, look and see what else was out there. But how close were you in terms of to just re-signing with Cage Warriors?
To be honest, not that close. I'm quite lucky. Like my day job is I account manage for a finance company.
Oh, right. Okay.
So yeah, so like quite a big part of that is negotiating deals, looking at contracts, looking at terms and conditions. So it's something I do day to day. So when I signed the Cage Warriors contract, I did actually read it. I think I'm the first fighter in the history of time who actually read it. And then I mean, at the time, the first time I signed, they were like the only real promotion competing regularly during the pandemic. So it was like, yeah, this is a no-brainer. It makes sense to sign it. But then this time around, I was like, well, I'd never just sign anything. And then just because, like you say, it was all my fights have been with them. I think just because it was the expected thing to do, it's like, yeah, I'm not just gonna do it without thinking about it. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean that does work out if your day job can support your fighting career at the same time. That is a one-off. I've never spoke to a fighter before that is that kind of clued up in terms of the finances and stuff like that. So I guess that goes a
Yeah,
long way in doing stuff like that. Does it help you
yeah.
feel
Like
a
I'm
bit
not
more?
a
It must make you
yeah.
feel a bit more secure when it comes to stuff like that, that like you know that you can go out there and test new like deals and things like that, because you know you're not going to get yourself tied into anything that's going to leave you kind of stuck in a place.
Yeah, that's it. Like I say, I'm not the best person in the world, so I don't think I'm some sort of contract genius. But like,
Yeah.
just good enough to know where I stood, and then I also got a sports contract lawyer to look at it as well, just to double check with him that everything that I was interpreting what he does too. So fair play, he's a family friend. He just had a little look for me. And then yeah, I knew the cards in my hand then. So it just allowed me to have like open conversations rather than just guessing and they spring things on you left and right.
Yeah. We were speaking just before I hit record about this event being at the Motorpoint in Cardiff, and how Welsh MMA has kind of risen along with English MMA and Irish MMA and stuff like that. Everything's kind of on an upwards trajectory for the last few years. It seems kind of baffling to me that hasn't been done yet. I guess the venue is a bit of an awkward one for, like, it's just not big enough for the UFC. And it would be difficult for them to sell a card here, perhaps. But it does surprise me that Bellator haven't made use of that. I suppose their Welsh roster maybe isn't as deep as they would like for that region. And obviously, we spoke about Cage Warriors, who've done some big shows in Wales, but never the Motorpoint, which is so deep into the center. Like, it's so easy to get to, which is why I love that it's there, because it feels like there will be buzz around it, like people just walking through the city, and you'll have so many people in that, it right in the center of Cardiff, that are all going to the event. Like it
Yeah,
feels like there'll be a buzz.
yeah. That's exactly what I think. To be honest, I think in terms of like international promotions coming in, there's a bit of concerns with airports
Right.
because
Yeah.
it's yeah. Most of the UFC, Bellator, PFL guys were flying to Heathrow, but then you're still 3 hours from Cardiff. So I think that was a bit of a concern for some of them. But yeah, I say all that stuff aside, I think it's going to be bouncing there, to be fair. I know I've sold a lot of tickets, so there's going to be a lot of people there for me. It's right in the city centre, so it's 2 seconds away from the train station. It's 2 seconds away from a night out. So yeah, I think it's going to be a good night.
Yeah. One of the things that I enjoyed so much about your pro career so far in Cage Warriors was, I think that they're very good at matchmaking people who are coming through, and your fights have not been easy fights, but they've all been really good tests at each stage. Do you agree with that sentiment? It seems like it's been very well so far. Your pro career has been very well tiered in terms of taking a next step up every time.
Yeah, I think so. In all fairness, I don't think like there's no real question in the quality of like the Cage Warriors roster, like particularly at featherweight. Like, I think there's a good few guys on that featherweight roster who can easily compete at UFC level. But then, yeah, in all fairness to Ian Dean, the Cage Warriors matchmaker, like you say, he's good at making competitive fights. Which, like I say, I mean, it doesn't lead to an easy night at the office, but it does make you a lot better as a fighter. It makes the show really good. Because I remember before my last fight with Nick Bagley, my brother was round for food, and my missus' family were like asking about the guy, and I'm fighting, and we both sort of were just like, yeah, sorry to tell you this, but he's really good. Like, I wish they were giving me somebody shit, but they haven't. So yeah, credit to them for that, really.
Yeah, it feels like really great preparation for whether you were going to stay in Cage Warriors and go through that division, but it also feels like it set you up perfectly to get introduced to a whole new roster of fighters, because you've experienced like other really talented guys in and around, like how far they're in for their pro career compared to yours. So it feels like it's set up really well, because this PFL thing is such a great opportunity, but they are looking for people to make an impact and either get themselves into the regular series, or they're, you know, talking about a European series and stuff like that. Like, it's such a great opportunity, and it feels like you're really well prepared for it because of the 5 fights in Cage Warriors that have kind of built up to something like this.
Yeah, to be honest, I completely agree with everything you said. Like, I had an 8-0 amateur career as well, and like, especially towards the end, the last 3 fights, when promoters were asking me to go on their show, we were just like, look, they've got to be top 15 in the UK, or like maybe top 20 if their record's also really good. They just haven't quite. Just either way, they needed to be good level guys, because, like you say, that's how you progress. So like I said, I'm looking at their roster now. Even the guys in the regular season, I'm a bit like, I'd fight all of them, like, and fancy my chances too. So yeah, it's definitely been a good setup.
Have you been able to catch much of the PFL before signing? I feel like most people are in the same boat, where they kind of followed it without watching too much of it, and then now that it's easy to watch on UK TV, now, you know, we're really starting to embrace it now that, you know, it's right there, easily accessible. Is that where you were at as well?
Like, I'm one of those guys who just watches thousands and thousands of fights.
Right.
So like, I was kind of up with it, but like you say, it's so much easier now. I used to rely on people sending me links and things like that, and then I'd watch them back. But like, with it being, well, I say I've already recorded tomorrow's event just on Channel 4, it's literally so easy. So
yeah, man.
Yeah, I have kept up with it, but it's going to be a lot easier now.
Yeah, for sure. I guess it helps you, you know, kind of scope out who potentially you could be fighting with the prospect of being in that regular season, which obviously is kind of the golden ticket for the PFL once you get there. And then, you know, you never know which way those fights go, you know.
Yeah.
Incredibly exciting opportunity, mate.
Yeah,
especially
no,
with
definitely.
it being with this first event being in Cardiff, it just, like I said, it seems like everything's fallen into place.
Yeah, no, yeah, you literally can't add on to that at all, really. It literally couldn't have gone any better.
Yeah, man. I mean, your fights are always absolute bangers to watch as well. If the Cage Warriors fights are anything to go by, and the fact that it's in Wales, I'm sure you are, like you said, you sold a lot of tickets, so there'll be a big support for you there. I think it's going to be a great night, mate. And I'm like, out of the European fights that have been announced, that one, I mean, anyone that's got a Welsh fighter in is obviously going to be one of the ones to watch for how excited the crowd's going to be. But like I said, man, your Cage Warriors fights always delivered and then some. So I think it's going to be sick, mate.
Yeah, it's going to be good fun. I'm gonna go after him. I know that for sure.
Mate, can't wait. Thank you so much for your time, man. Yeah, we're going to be covering that one, and the London card will be out for those and stuff. So yeah, it should be wicked, mate. And hopefully get that win, and then we'll catch back up with you and see what's happening from there. Hopefully, you know, whether it's another European season or regular season, fingers crossed, that would be insane, mate. So yeah, we'll catch back up with you at some point.
Happy days. Thank you, mate.
Sweet, mate. All the best. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too.
Later, man. Thank you for checking out this interview, Mr. Ben Ellis, over here on Violent Money TV. Of course, we are all gearing up for the PFL events in Cardiff and London, which we're going to be covering quite closely. So please be sure to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, you know, here on YouTube, all that good stuff, and we'll bring you some PFL content of their debut UK shows. It should be a very good time indeed. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and we'll catch you on the next one in a bit.